Hey there, Virgo, and welcome to your week of January 17th, 2022 General Tarot reading. We're going to be looking at your energy over here on the left. That's looking good to start. And then we're going to be looking at some potential challenges for you here in the center. And then we're going to look at some potential outcomes as well over on the right. We're going to clarify all these cards as we go along. And we're going to tie everything off with an oracle card at the end. These are general readings, so take what resonates and leave the rest. All right, so we got the Lovers, the Seven of Cups, and the Three of Swords here. The Lovers is Gemini's card, so you may have Gemini in your chart. You may be dealing with a Gemini this week as well. But with the Lovers here, that's really strong for those of you who are looking for a soulmate connection, or you're looking for a connection in general, like love. That's great with the Lovers, so that's a good sign. Hopefully you're going to be having some good luck with that. I feel like you are here with what we've got presented. So I feel like either you've recently met this person, or maybe you've met a few people with potential for that, because we have the Seven of Cups here as well. Like you might have a lot of some potential suitors here, like quite a few, so lucky you. Or maybe you have a few on your mind, or a few people that you feel like could potentially be that way as well. So I like that. And with the Three of Swords here as well, the Three of Swords tells us to remove things that no longer serve us, to cut out things that maybe you feel like mean a lot to you, but they don't they're not really optimal options, right? They're not really helping us out in the end here. So I feel like that's kind of maybe be a guiding principle for you if you have quite a few people that you're interested in, or maybe interested in asking out, or who are interested in you, is to kind of take that approach of like, is this person actually someone that I feel like they would be good for me or something? Or is this just a person that I kind of have sentimental value for, like a high school crush or something like that? Or, you know, a misconnection, right? Things like that. Maybe those aren't as important to you because you realize those people aren't who you thought they were before, but you still have that kind of lingering feelings. I know I used to hang around with this girl years and years ago. And then a few years ago, she recently came back into my life. And she definitely thought it was going to be like everything is the same as before. But like myself, I had done quite a bit of growing in that time. And what she was kind of trying to offer me, for instance, was not really what I wanted anymore, right? Like that's what she thought. Like the old me absolutely would have taken that, because I was like, yeah, sure, that's great. But as I've gotten older and curmudgeon-y and cranky, I've discovered these are things that I don't deal with and I don't tolerate anymore. And she was offering me all that. So that was like definitely an option I had to cut out of my life. So maybe something similar for you here, Virgo. So let's get some clarifiers here for this, see what's happening. See if we can get a little more details. Maybe tell us what kind of a thing to cut out for you, or maybe something to focus on here. So we get the Page of Wands, the Four of Swords, and the Nine of Swords. All right. The Nine of Swords, I feel like is telling you, don't worry about the things that are kind of like FOMO, if you've ever heard of FOMO before. If you haven't, FOMO stands for fear of missing out. It could represent for you like that misconnection thing, right? Don't worry about that kind of stuff, because if a person is really meant to be with you, or this is a person that's really serious, that connection will come back. Right, you'll get another chance here, right? Don't worry about that kind of stuff. Don't worry about any like, oh no, like if I don't ask this person out, someone else will sweep them up. Don't worry about that kind of stuff either, right? Go for where your heart's taking you with the Page of Wands here. Like you go after what you really, really want, not what you're afraid you're going to miss out on here. I feel like that's what you really need to go for. And you may even need to spend some time on your own here with the Four of Swords, kind of puzzling this out on your own, not really like asking for like advice from others, kind of like more doing some compartmentalizing of yourself and kind of figuring out like, hey, like, okay, this is what I really want. This is what I really want to focus on. This is the values that are important to me. And like really not look at like the surface level stuff, like, oh, they're funny, they're attractive, they, got a good job. Kind of like that kind of stuff. That's really surface level, but are they reliable? Is this person someone who I can count on? Is this someone who tries to do the best thing in the end, right? Like what are those deeper qualities that mean that much to you? Maybe those qualities don't mean that much to you. Maybe it's something else, right? But really focusing on that deep stuff. And maybe you need to be alone a little bit and away from like the distractions of those people, right? Maybe you need some time by yourself to kind of really realize, is this just kind of something, a person I'm maybe infatuated with at this time, or is this actually someone I want to be with, right? Is there something of substance here, right? So I like that. And with that Page of Wands, again, this maybe you want to aim for someone who's maybe a little younger than you, or someone who's very passionate as well. Possibly a fire sign, so Aries, Sagittarius, or Leo. So maybe aiming for someone like that, or a Gemini as well with the Lovers there too. But yeah, could be anybody. Of course, it's a general reading, but I feel like really focusing down on what you really want here. So let's look at some challenges for you. See what might be challenging here aside from just a plethora of people lining up, or a plethora of people you want to line up. So let's see what we got. In your challenges, we got the Tower, got the Five of Swords, we got the Queen of Wands here. All right. So the Tower is this big time change. So I feel like that's kind of really needed here at this time. I feel like you really do need a change, maybe like a change in perspective, or a change in like your process, or a change in what you view, or what you put value on. Maybe like I was saying earlier here with the Four of Swords, maybe kind of getting on your own and really figuring out, like, you know, away from all like the distractions and what other people are saying, or even how other people are interfering. Like maybe you have friends or family that are kind of saying like, hey, I think so-and-so would be a good match for you, Virgo. You say like, oh yeah, maybe, you know, and then like another person you're interested starts hanging around with you a lot, and like, well, I'd like to spend a bunch of time with them instead. And, you know, that's kind of distracting. So I feel like there's a change here that needs to happen here, where you need to kind of do something in order to kind of get away so you can be on your own here. Don't be too narrow-minded as well with the Five of Swords here, because the Five of Swords really talks about, like kind of being too focused, too driven, too much dependent on the victory, the end result, the finality, right? And the Five of Swords really tells us like, don't be so focused on that stuff, because this person has hurt all these other people's feelings. So I feel like you got to just be careful for that. Try not to come off like, you know, kind of like as a hard person, or as like a negative person, or someone who's very selfish at this time. Try to kind of, you know, just be like, yes, ultimately I'd like to have this resolution, whatever that may be for you, like whether that's, you know, a romantic partner, or just like someone like a serious dating person, or maybe love, or you know, that ultimate, you know, marriage and all that good stuff. Like whatever your ultimate goal is, try not to be so focused in on like that, right? Because people do grow and change, right? People, you know, you might meet a person and say like, oh, this is so-and-so, and they're like this, and this. That doesn't mean they're going to be like that, you know, 10 years down the line. Things can happen, right? I know I've met people whose like family members have died, and that really changed them. And like, they're still like, you can still see like, this is who they used to be, or something like that. But now it's like, they're might be completely different people. They might have done like a whole 180, right? Like it could be crazy. So, you know, people do change. So don't be necessarily focused on that end goal too much. And with the Queen of Wands here as well, again, maybe a fire sign getting in the way here. So again, Leo, Sagittarius, Aries, or maybe just saying here, you need to focus more on the positivity rather than focusing on like kind of the physical features, because the Queen of Wands can be the most sensual of all the court cards. You know, she can be very sexual and very much about in the moment kind of thing. So maybe don't let a pretty face fool you at this time, right? Because sometimes pretty faces are hiding darkness underneath of them, right? Or maybe hiding something less than, you know, positive in their intentions, right? They might just be looking for a fling rather than something serious here at this time. So let's take a look at some clarifiers for this. Hopefully this has been helping you out. Hopefully this has been resonating with you, Virgo. Remember, we're tying everything off with an oracle card at the end of the video, so you're going to stick around for your full message to see what's going down. But let's get in. We got the Seven of Swords. Yeah, there we go. Four of Pentacles and the Chariot. All right, so when I say there we go, the Seven of Swords is that liar, cheater, stealer energy. Can be someone very negative, someone very much like only in their own self-interest. So watch out for that, because sometimes people come in sweet talking you and come in like, oh, they're such a charmer and they're so attractive and stuff. And they can really woo you and sweep you off your feet. But then when it comes down to it, they're kind of one of those people. It's like, nah, I'm just here for me, right? Like I thought, you know, they might say like, oh yeah, I want to settle down. I want to be, you know, with you forever and stuff. But, you know, really they're going to turn around and say, oh, I never said that stuff. Like I thought you knew this was just a kind of one-time flingy kind of deal, right? Like, you know, they're going to backdoor you somehow, right? With the Chariot and the Four Pentacles here, Chariot is Cancer's card, so you may be dealing with a Cancer, might have Cancer in your chart. But really, there's kind of a restless feeling, I feel like. A real need to get moving here. I feel like for yourself as well, like not just like a, kind of wanting to go make a decision, let's, get that out of the way. But with the Chariot, it's really much like saying like we need to line up what we're thinking and what we're doing, right? Like you want to eliminate the options, for instance, like you want to kind of cut them down so you're, making this decision easier. Start doing it. Like it feels like there's that disconnect where you might not necessarily be doing that. You might be saying like, oh yeah, like I definitely want to cut down my options and stuff, but you're not actually taking action to try and do that, right? To kind of thin the herd, so to speak here, or at least cut down like one or two potentials here. You're just saying like, oh yeah, maybe you're a little more hung up in the fantasy end of things here. And that's not to say that's a bad thing or anything, but if you want to seriously get some commitment and some seriousness and some, long-term stuff going on here, you need to start cutting that stuff out. And the Four of Pentacles is telling you, don't do anything risky for the love of God. Like, don't do anything wild or crazy, okay? Just kind of stick to what's been working. And don't get obsessed over one little thing or one, particular attribute or something. You know what I mean? Like saying like, of course, there are deal breakers for everybody, but don't be so obsessed over like, he doesn't have everything, right? He's missing this one little thing. Other than that, he'd be perfect. It's like people are imperfect beings, right? Like you may feel like, for instance, like if you want like a certain trait that a person might, have, and you're saying he doesn't know this or she doesn't know this or whatever. Maybe what you want to say is like, is that something they could pick up down the road? Is that something they could learn to be like that, right? Maybe that's something you should think of instead of focusing on that they don't have it or they don't, aren't, portraying that quality. Maybe that's something that you don't necessarily see either. So very interesting. So let's take a look and see what we got for some outcome cards for you. What have we got going on here, Virgo? What is happening here for you? Ten of Cups, that's beautiful. The Knight of Wands and the Nine of Cups. That is wonderful. That is so good. I love it. What's beautiful about the Nine of Cups, especially here, and I love that came out as well, is when you get two people with Nine of Cups energy, you get the Ten of Cups. You get your dreams come true. You get your, whatever that looks like for you, whether that's like a happy family, like here with a dreamland and home and all that good stuff. Or, maybe it's just, take the kids out of there. It's just you and your partner and you go traveling around in an RV across the country or something. Like whatever that looks like for you, that's your dreams coming true. The Ten of Cups popping up here, that's great as well. I feel like you're heading towards that. It's just, you need to be satisfied with yourself and find someone else who is satisfied with themselves as well, right? Because you get those two people, that Nine of Cups energy, that fulfillment, that satisfaction, you get the 10. So that's really something I feel like you need to focus down on. Don't get too obsessed with it like we talked about with the Four of Pentacles, but really focus down on trying to find that one person who's like, I'm quite happy with my life and I'm quite happy with finding someone else who is happy with their life, right? It's not necessarily like, I'm trying to find this one puzzle piece to complete me and I think it's you, right? It's more like, they're like, yeah, I could keep living this life. It's awesome without you. I want to add you to enhance my life. And you want to be in that same mindset too. So that's really beautiful. With the Knight of Wands here as well, I feel like that's you moving in a positive direction, moving towards what you want, moving towards growth as well. You can see here with the wand, there's all these little sprouts of life coming off of it, right? It's like we're going to grow something beautiful, you and me, right? And I love that. That's beautiful. Let's tie this off for clarifiers anyway, before we get into your oracle card to wrap things off here. But thank you so much for making it this far. And let's see what we got. Virgo, we got the Seven of Pentacles, the Page of Pentacles, and the Three of Swords again. I love that the Three of Swords is repeated here. Again, cut out those things that don't serve you. Cut out those things that aren't what you really want. That's just, sentimentality or nostalgia kind of adding on to things. So I love that that's repeated. Big, strong message with that. With the Seven of Pentacles and the Page of Pentacles here, you just got to do what you can. Work what you can. Try to go with what you can here. Sometimes with the Seven of Pentacles, you do have someone kind of blocking you here from achieving your goals, but sometimes you just got to wait them out. Sometimes that's the case. Sometimes people prove themselves by being not so patient, because maybe they think like it could be a case where you feel like this person was really kind of head over heels for you, but you're not so sure if you're head over heels for them, and then they go and they find someone else, right? And then it's like, well, obviously they moved on, right? So that's a connection missed. That's a, or not necessarily connection missed, but that's a person who has moved on and they weren't the one for me, right? So sometimes it is waiting that thing out before you can reach your goal. And sometimes it is like, just making sure you're cutting your losses sometimes too. Maybe you feel like this person, I put so much time into them and I feel like there's nothing here, right? And let's just kind of cut our losses here. Maybe it's not worth the trouble. And with the Page of Pentacles here as well, the Page of Pentacles is great because the Page of Pentacles is an information gatherer. So I feel like at this time you need to gather information. If you have 3 or 4 people you have in mind, for instance, I don't know what the exact number is going to be for you, Virgo, but if you have some number of potential prospects here for love, it's like gather some information on them, like not in like a creepy stalker kind of way, of course, but just kind of like learn about them, talk to them, find out about them, find out if they're serious, find out if they're looking for that kind of thing in their life. Try not to be like super obvious about it, or maybe just go for it, however you would go about that, of course, but just find out as much as you can about them, because I feel like that's going to help you here ultimately find out whether they're the person for you or not. So let's tie this all off with an oracle card here, see what we got. Hopefully this has been helping you out and resonating with you here, Virgo. Thank you for spending as much time as you have with me. I appreciate that so much too. And let's see what we got. You got the Starfish Spirit, open to infinite possibilities. Yeah, there's all sorts of possibilities here. Of course, we have the 7 of Cups here with all these potentials here. And we have, of course, the 3 of Swords telling us to kind of eliminate them, but be open to the possibilities, because maybe you feel like this one person, maybe you're not interested in them necessarily, but they're interested in you and you can tell. Maybe just kind of be open to be like, what would life kind of be like with them? Maybe gather some information on them and kind of get to know them a little bit, because maybe that is the really right person for you, even though you don't feel like they are initially. There might be more, hidden depths there to uncover with them, right? You can kind of see with this Starfish Spirit, it's almost as if as you go more into the center, it gets more intricate, right? It's not just a starfish. There's all these cool designs and symbology in there as well. So I think that's really awesome. So hopefully that's helped you out. Hopefully that's resonated. If you want to help out the channel, you can hit that thumbs up, that like button down below, Virgo. You can subscribe if you haven't already, and then that way you can find your Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus sign videos as I upload them every week. Check those out. Thank you for being here, and I hope to see you in the next video.